Progress and challenges. The UK's green mission. Sustainability is at the heart of the UK's vision for the future, balancing economic growth with environmental responsibility. Across industries, companies are adopting innovative solutions to reduce carbon emissions, conserve resources, and contribute to a greener future. Several companies are leading the charge in sustainable practices, setting examples for others to follow. In today's programme, Executive TV will take a closer look at these companies, examine the role of government policies, and discuss the challenges along the way. Tony G provides specialist engineering consultancy services to the construction industry, with experience designing infrastructure projects across the UK and beyond.
Tony G started in 1974 with a chap called Tony G, and he was a pioneer in the field of structural engineering, and early on saw the advantage of computation analysis in structural engineering, and that formed the DNA of Tony G as a business. It's still a very technical focused engineering consultancy. We aim to bring technical excellence into the market with the solutions that we provide, and I would describe one of the key attributes of Tony G as commitment. We're committed to our clients, and we're committed to finding the right solution for our clients, and we're committed to each other, and that kind of follows through in everything we do. So we want to find the right solution for our clients that is engineeringly sound, that is robust and is buildable and efficient. And we aim to bring those kind of core technical focused issues to our designs, and that gives us a good USP in the market.
Hidrostal manufactures high-quality, low-maintenance centrifugal pumps designed to solve specific pumping problems.
Hidrostal is a Swiss-owned organisation that is vertically and horizontally integrated, which means all of its production is managed, owned and governed in Switzerland, and its supply is distributed internationally through subsidiary companies.
Hidrostal is an engineered product solutions provider. We specialise in pump technologies. In the UK, we have three arms to our business. We have Hidrostal UK, which is a specialist manufacturer of high efficiency, non-clogging pumping technologies, which are extensively used in the solids liquids handling business.
Our unique impeller design not only lends itself to handling large solids, but the gentle design of it enables us to pump fish and eels in a really safe and friendly way.
We have a company called Bedford Pump, who are large capacity engineered pump solutions. So these are used in water drainage and flood mitigation applications. And we also have a company called Hidrostal Engineering, which is a mechanical and electrical contracting company.
The Energy Group offers a wide range of innovative renewable solutions to help organisations reduce their carbon footprint, as well as a wide range of critical energy products.
So the history of the Energy Group was really driven by the vision to power local businesses and households in the journey of sustainability. We originally started out in the UPS industry, providing critical power services for critical infrastructure mainly. And then we saw a transition from demand from critical energy into renewable and green power, which meant we incorporated key innovative technologies into our portfolio to provide a breadth of products, innovation in technology, which means that our customers and clients can have green energy coming into their infrastructure, as well as backing up the critical energy from our UPS products.
Engineering, construction and manufacturing are key pillars of the UK economy, driving growth and innovation. These sectors are evolving with advancements in technology, improved efficiency and stronger regulatory frameworks to ensure long-term viability and competitiveness.
The manufacturing industry has been going through quite a tough time. However, we are seeing growth opportunities. Historically, we had a lot of localised manufacturing in the UK. For cost reasons, people started to move production out to the Far East, and that was predominantly because of lower labour costs. But then over the years, people's aspirations in the Far East changed, and therefore we started to see quite significant increases in salary. Raw material costs are pretty much equal globally. There's not much variation in material costs. The advantage came from labour, from the labour rates. Today, because we're reaching the differentials has closed quite a lot. And when you start to build in factors around freight and shipment and the costs, and particularly after COVID, which impacted freight quite significantly, both the volume of freight and the cost of freight, the landed cost of goods now has really completely closed. So companies are now looking to move manufacturing back to Europe. So we're starting to see a significant change in the momentum.
I think the construction industry has to get back to some basics. And I can say that as leading this business that's focused on design and construction and making design constructible. But we've drifted away from that, and for various reasons over the years. And I think as an industry we have to get back to really working out what we're trying to build. And I don't think the industry has enough of a voice with key decision makers at government level to actually shape decisions that are going into the planning process that then affect the construction outcome. And I think there's many examples that the UK is struggling to deliver key infrastructure projects because key decisions have been made that lock in construction problems.
So engineers are good at solutions, that's what we're trained to do, but we're very aware that that is part of the ideal solution but not necessarily all of it. So we tend to work in consultation with people that provide policies, people that look at budgets for projects, end users, people that deal with the construction and the maintenance, and all of those aspects have to work together to provide that ideal solution, because any one single driver will give you something that isn't optimised across the piece as a whole.
I think our industry, like all industries, has a really big part to play in getting to net zero and to playing our part in achieving the carbon reductions that we need to see as a country and as an industry. The difficult thing for IDBs in particular is that we have to pump what arrives at the station. Our pumps have to run regardless. The electricity, the sustainability of where that energy has come from, we can make choices in terms of how we procure that and where we buy it from. But equally, our funding pressures are still there. So we still have to be able to efficiently run our stations within a budget. So we have to have efficient pumps. We have to look at how we run the pumps. Maybe we have to tweak when they run as well, so that we're using energy at the most efficient time to try and achieve that carbon reduction.
The current state of the renewables industry, specifically in the UK, is that the government incentives are very well funded. The intention and the backing is clear. Certain parts of the market are set for exponential growth. So for example, energy storage market is set to double by 2030. The domestic solar market is in a similar position. So we're seeing huge growth rates. We see huge investment into offshore wind particularly. This gives us a great innovation opportunity for us to bring other products to market. So for example, we look at the vertical axis wind turbines and tidal. So there's some weaknesses in the landscape of the renewables market, where onshore wind isn't really as apparent into the market, same as tidal. There's some really exciting companies that are coming up with innovative technology to develop in these markets. But the current state, I would say, it's a very, very large landscape, but there are some challenges. So some of the challenges at the moment are to do with the national grid integration. So there's a backlog with applications. There's about 700 gigawatts of applications backlog, which causes businesses to slow down their implementation of these renewable technologies.
Sustainability is crucial for the long-term health of the planet and economy, ensuring resources are preserved for future generations. However, industries and companies alike must navigate financial constraints, regulatory compliance, and technological adaptation to achieve their goals.
We're working to reduce our carbon footprint, and we're doing that by using as many responsibly sourced materials as we can, sustainably, and using renewable energy wherever is possible, and we do that quite a lot within our businesses.
We have the huge advantage as a family-owned business that we don't have to, let's say, make our shareholders happy every 3 months. This is, with regard to sustainability, this is a huge benefit because we can also invest. Whenever we see an opportunity to do something good for the environment, we can invest, independent whether we have a strong or not such a strong year. But yes, also we have faced challenges because at the end sustainability is not for free. It needs cash, it needs major investments for all players who want to contribute to sustainability. To a certain extent you need customers who are willing to pay for it. The sustainability thinking is well developed, where customers are willing to pay a premium for a high quality product which is properly repairable. And if you have such customers, you can then take that premium and reinvest into sustainability measures.
Without the money and the people, we cannot sustainably manage water levels in our districts and protect our communities and keep them safe. We're no longer able to rely on the public purse to pay for all of our activities, and therefore we've had to develop alternative and additional income streams to pay for many of the services that we currently provide.
Hidrostal is a very strong player in wastewater industry. On the wastewater industry side, I see need for major investments. And this is good for us as a company because we are here and ready to support the different players in that market. 50% of global wastewater is still not treated, and this gap has to be reduced. When we talk sustainability, it's not only about green gas emissions, it's not only about microplastics, it's also about very, very basic things like the right for clean water. And that needs wastewater treatment around the globe. On top of that, we still have growing population. So even if we would remain 50%, only 50% of wastewater treated, but growing population, then we see that this market is again growing. And then there is a link to sustainability. Then there is global warming, which is a fact.
So what sustainability means to the energy group at the core and utmost really means about how we drive sustainable solutions to the market. If you really think about how some of those resources that we are enjoying on a day-to-day basis are being converted into clean energy, and it's about looking how we can adapt that and involve people that find this technology quite inaccessible, making it more accessible to them and making it therefore also affordable for them to adopt.
The use of renewables offset carbon by cleaning the environment. So if we think about utilising the elements, natural elements that we have. So if we take wind energy, for example, we utilise wind energy to create energy that we can use in our homes. Similar to solar, we've got solar cells that will convert that energy into renewables. The way that it helps the environment is by the creation of these products, and we look at the lifespan of that product. So what will be the carbon offset of producing that product over the lifetime of how much it will take out of the environment?
In Tony G, we have a sustainability strategy, and we've developed that to understand what sustainability means to us. We're a civil engineering consultancy. We are largely building heavy infrastructure within the rail, marine, highways and power sectors. And so the sorts of work that we do is fairly similar across those industries, and the impacts that we have in terms of sustainability are similar.
Sustainability to Tony G means two things. It's firstly, how can we run our business in producing no carbon? So we've challenged ourselves in that, and we've done the easy bit in assessing our carbon consumption, if you like, our operational carbon. And we have more than offset our emissions through our certified offset schemes. But that's the easy bit. Now we're asking ourselves, okay, how can we reduce our operational carbon year and year and year? So that's one thing, an internal thing, simply being a responsible employer to run our business efficiently with the least impact possible. And all businesses are doing that. Then you look at the work we do, which is design and construction of large-scale civil engineering projects. That by far, in a way, is the biggest impact we have as a business.
I think from a sustainability perspective, certainly some of the biggest shifts that we've seen have been the increased complexity and variety of demands that are being placed on projects. So go back 10 or 15 years, the main thing that we were focused on was reducing waste in construction. Now, fast forward to today, and we're talking about meeting targets around net zero, reducing carbon. We're talking about targets to improve biodiversity and nature. We're talking about resource efficiency and circularity, so using waste as a resource, not just reducing what goes to landfill, as well as an increased kind of demands and awareness of what society requires of our projects and the communities around the builds and things that we're working on, because ultimately civil engineering and infrastructure construction is there to serve society and to help people.
Despite ambitious targets, the UK government lacks comprehensive policies to drive large-scale sustainable change. Many industries face uncertainty due to inconsistent regulations, inadequate funding, and a lack of long-term strategies to support the green transition.
The UK government can assist UK businesses, UK industries, through having a more stable trading platform in the UK market. I think there are opportunities to support business through having a more moderate tax approach, to support businesses with research and development initiatives, to help develop and drive innovation and new technologies.
So the government can do a number of things to make a more sustainable UK in terms of energy and sustainability. Clearly policy is the thing that leads it, and we need to find a way of getting long-term commitment to that policy so that we can invest our resources and our innovation into the market, encouraging growth and more sustainable outcomes.
So if the correct policies were in place with clear guidelines, it means that there'll be more confidence in the market, which will bring more investment, more capital, and inevitably that will ensure growth in the economy, create more jobs, more wealth, which is overall good for the UK as a whole.
It really depends on the political will, but I think the public has to be honest with itself too, that sustainability and net zero is a great idea until it affects you and I. And when there's a project next door that's impacting your life in the greater good of sustainable goals, that's where it becomes challenging. And I think there's quite a number of decisions that have been made reversing things because of local pressure that has taken the eye off the ball of the bigger gain, if you like. So there is a real problem, I think, in delivering net zero by 2050 if the political will runs out of steam, and there is worrying signs that it is running out of steam. My argument, though, is that it needs to happen. And I think it's one of those things, I'm a bit more optimistic in that the technological change around, for example, renewable power generation, it's now becoming the most available and cheapest form and cheapest way of doing things. And it's creating a technical momentum that helps us get to net zero in that context.
The government's target of net zero by 2050 is possible, but requires substantial commitment and systemic change. Achieving this goal will depend on financial support to various businesses, policy enforcement, and industry collaboration.
Net zero by 2050 is going to be extremely challenging, but we have an opportunity as the UK to be a thought leader and to really implement resources, just like some of the Scandinavian countries across Europe. We really need to accelerate these programs, investment, with clear policy to ensure that we lead this on a world stage. What we really need to see is clear, concise funding and grants guidance, and also what the state of the targets are for the future. So if we think about net zero, and certain organisations will say 2030, 2035, even 2050, we don't really have any guidance from central government on what the implications are if we don't hit them targets and them guidelines. So we need some clarity from government to say there's going to be some tariffs or there's going to be some fines, something along them lines to drive businesses to take action. So at the moment, it's a great industry to be in. There's a huge amount of opportunity and growth, but it still needs a lot of guidance and kind of hand-holding from organisations to work alongside central government to make it a lot more progressive.
In terms of the transition to net zero, the construction sector has a huge amount of challenge, really. Firstly, around mitigation of carbon emissions, so reducing the amount of emissions in the atmosphere. The built environment, directly or indirectly, is accounting for around 40% of the UK carbon emissions. And cement alone, which is one component of the materials we use in construction, accounts for around 8% of the global emissions, which is huge. And that's more than some countries, in fact, more than many countries. And so reducing carbon in what we're delivering is going to be a key issue.
I think the secret to putting the UK industries into a more sustainable future within our business segment is very much around energy efficiency. So lowering global emission levels is a very important priority, I think, for all global governments today. To be able to reduce carbon levels is a priority, I think, which is in legislation for most developing nations today. Aside from that, also looking at things like where we manufacture and how we manufacture products, because there are a lot of costs and environmental considerations related to transportation of goods. We've become a much more globalised society, and movement of goods across the world, maybe from lower cost centres, is increasingly polluting and increasingly costly.
Advancements in clean energy, smart infrastructure, and carbon capture are driving the transition towards sustainability. Companies investing in research and development are playing a crucial role in shaping a low-carbon future.
So innovation to the energy group is part of our culture, it's part of what we are. Building teams, building relationships, partnerships with organisations around the world that are bringing the best quality technology, ideas and innovative thoughts. Working with academia as well, some of our ideas are looking at areas of the market which have not yet been exploited. So tidal and wind are kind of emerging markets. We're really interested in bringing those forward. Solar's pretty saturated now. How can we bring forward those new techs? Certainly data though, data, AI and understanding how these assets really work in real life.
So some of the new developments that we can see in the industry, the vertical access wind turbines. So companies like Airturb that are developing small-scale wind turbines, but also they've got new products on the horizon that are slightly larger that really will have some exciting commercial applications. We've got Spiralis who are creating new technology in tidal, which is equally as exciting. The other piece that's exciting in the industry for new technology is the rise of what we call a VPP, a virtual power plant, which is where there's a software layer that's integrating with the renewable technology to optimize people's assets. So it means that if you've got an energy storage system at home already, you can buy and sell, basically trade the energy that you create from your own renewable solution. So these companies that are coming up with this clever technology is quite exciting for the forefront of renewables.
So when it comes to finding sustainable solutions, innovation absolutely has to play a part. Whether that's large-scale innovation for whole brand new products, brand new ways of working, entirely different ways of thinking, or innovation can also be on a much smaller scale. So it could be adopting something that was from a different industry or just tweaking the way we do things to get a different outcome. One of the aspects of sustainability is about considering materials and considering efficiency of the way that we work. In construction and in infrastructure projects, that can be quite challenging. It's not necessarily repeatable. Often the environment in which you're working will be different from the last project. And so there's an element of every project is a little bit of a pilot. There's some repeatable elements, but largely we have to adapt. And so it's quite difficult to take the advantage like you would have in a manufacturing example, where you're on a production line and you can repeatedly do the same thing over and over, learn the lessons, improve and tweak the process. So innovation in a context where you're continually doing things slightly differently or slightly new requires us to think differently as well.
So firstly, I'll say it is very challenging, but it is also an opportunity. And Tony G has always been at the vanguard of trying to work out what technology means for our work in engineering. So right from the very start, when we looked at computational analysis, we were quite far advanced in that field before a lot of the industry was. And it's always been like that. You know, in the last 10 years, we've had the emergence of BIM and the digital environment, and that has significantly changed how we go about designing things.
The BIM process allows us to share our models with clients and stakeholders, and it brings our designs to life. It demonstrates very visibly the complexities of our designs, how the different aspects interface, and explain why particular solutions are perhaps not possible or why we have to go with a particular solution. So using the model encourages collaboration. We can identify and eliminate those clashes and problems early on, and it helps us to bring efficient and innovative solutions to life. Our design solutions are always tailored to our client goals. That's what they expect from us. We do this by working collaboratively with our clients so that we can fully understand their goals and the reasons for them. This means asking questions at an early stage and sometimes challenging some of those goals or the reasons for them, and allowing us to bring potentially alternative solutions. One of the ways that we do this is by involving our experts at the earliest stage we can. Quite often that means senior people in the business being involved in decision making to make sure that our clients' goals are achieved.
In pumping industry, innovation is important in several areas. On one hand, it's innovation around the product innovation, providing the right solution for a customer problem, support a customer in being more productive. It's not always the product itself, it's often also our expertise which we bring to the table when talking to a customer in order to improve his overall system performance and not just the pump or the drive performance. So this is something where we can also from the service side contribute with innovative approaches. And then there is another element which is probably equally important, what I would call production innovation or production technology. So how to innovate in the way to build your products. And I can give you an example which I believe is pretty innovative. We have several foundries in our companies, and we recently did an investment in 2 of our foundries into 3D sand printing. 3D sand printing allows us to drastically reduce our time to market for new products.
We need to innovate at multi-layers within the industry. We need to innovate in terms of the technologies we're using. We need to innovate in terms of the materials we're using, but also we need to innovate in terms of the ideas that we have, in terms of the policies that are in place, in terms of the payment structures that are there for adaptation and for change. Innovation is not a binary thing. It has to continue. It has to run through every layer of every organisation that has a hand in this landscape and in this industry. As leaders, people will want that innovation to be seen to have come from them. It's really through collective innovation that we'll see real change and make the real difference.
While government policies still need refinement and stronger enforcement, the private sector is proving that innovation can drive meaningful change. Collaboration across sectors, investment in new technologies, and public awareness will be key to achieving a truly sustainable future. If the UK can navigate these challenges effectively, it has the potential to be a global leader in sustainability, setting a precedent for other countries to follow.